Drummerly.com Unlimited Drama Series.
I'm hunched over a greasy transmission on my front step when the door slams open behind me. The sound echoes through our quiet Cleveland suburb like a gunshot, and I know without looking that every neighbor within 3 blocks just perked up their ears. "Don't bother coming inside, Eli. Josh told me everything." Tara's voice cuts through the evening air like a razor blade through silk. I don't turn around immediately. Instead, I keep my hands busy with the wrench, buying myself a few seconds to process what's happening. 23 years of marriage, and she's throwing me out based on whatever lies her precious son cooked up this time. "Everything about what, exactly?" I ask, finally standing and wiping my hands on an old rag. The transmission fluid has stained my fingers black, and somehow that feels appropriate right now. Tara stands in our doorway like some avenging angel, her perfectly styled blonde hair catching the porch light. She's still wearing her real estate blazer, the one that costs more than I make in a week at the parts warehouse. Her face is twisted with disgust, like I'm something she scraped off her designer heels. "Don't play dumb with me, Eli Parker. Josh told me about the money you've been stealing from our account, about how you threatened him when he tried to stop you, about your drinking problem." The accusations hit me like physical blows. Each word is carefully chosen, precisely delivered. This isn't spontaneous rage. This is calculated destruction. "That's interesting," I say, keeping my voice level despite the fury building in my chest. "Considering I haven't touched our joint account in months, haven't had a drink since your birthday party, and the only thing I've ever threatened Josh with was making him get a job." But I can see it in her eyes. She's already made up her mind. The trial is over, and I've been found guilty without even knowing I was accused. Josh appears behind her, lurking in the shadows like the coward he's always been. At 20, he's got the soft, entitled look of someone who's never worked a day in his life. His smirk tells me everything I need to know about who orchestrated this little performance. "Mom's right, Eli. You're toxic. You always have been." The neighbors are definitely watching now. Mrs. Henderson from next door has her curtains pulled back just enough to get a good view. The Johnsons across the street are pretending to water their already soggy lawn. In a neighborhood like ours, drama is better than cable television. "So what's the plan here, Tara? You throw me out based on the word of a kid who's never told the truth about anything in his life?" "Josh is my son," she says. "Like that explains everything. And you're just the maintenance man I married." The words sting because there's truth in them. For years I've been the guy who fixes the leaky faucets, changes the oil in her car, and keeps the house running while she builds her real estate empire. I've been background noise in my own life. "Fine," I say, grabbing my toolbox and the duffel bag I keep in the garage for fishing trips. "But when you figure out what's really going on here, don't expect me to come running back." As I load my truck, Josh calls out from the safety of the doorway, "Don't forget to leave your keys, loser." I turn back one last time, meeting Tara's eyes. You know what's funny? I actually thought we had something real. Turns out I was just the only one who believed it. 20 minutes later, I'm sitting in Murphy's bar, nursing a Coke and trying to figure out how my life went sideways so fast. The place smells like stale beer and broken dreams, which seems about right for my current situation. Murphy himself slides another Coke across the bar without being asked. He's an ex-cop, built like a refrigerator, with a face that's seen too much. "Rough night? My wife just threw me out because her son convinced her I'm some kind of criminal mastermind." "Are you?" "I manage inventory at Peterson's Auto Parts. The most criminal thing I do is occasionally take an extra 15 minutes for lunch." Murphy nods like, "This makes perfect sense." "So what's the real story?" Before I can answer, my phone buzzes. A text from my buddy Carl at the gym where Tara works out. The message is short but devastating. "Dude, you need to see this." The attached photo shows my wife in the passenger seat of a red Jeep, kissing someone who definitely isn't me. The timestamp shows it was taken 2 hours ago, right around the time she was supposedly at her evening yoga class. "Well," I tell Murphy, showing him the phone, "looks like I just found the real story. The guy in the photo is Mitch Harlan, owner of CrossFit Cleveland. I recognize him from Tara's social media posts, always flexing, always grinning, always looking like he stepped out of a protein powder advertisement. He's everything I'm not, young, muscled, and apparently very good at stealing other men's wives." My phone buzzes again. This time it's a video message, and the sender is Tara herself. In it, she and Mitch are laughing, actually laughing, as they talk about how pathetic I am, how I never suspected anything, how easy it was to manipulate me. Ask Eli how it feels to be a real man for once, Mitch says to the camera, and they both dissolve into giggles. The video ends with Tara looking directly into the lens. Don't bother coming home, Eli. We'll be busy. I set the phone down carefully, fighting the urge to throw it against the wall. Murphy watches me with the patience of someone who's seen this particular tragedy play out 1,000 times. So what are you going to do? He asks. I finish my Coke and stand up, leaving a 20 on the bar. I'm going to show them what happens when you underestimate the maintenance man. The Riverside Motel isn't much to look at, but it's clean and cheap, and right now, that's all I can afford. I've rented room 15 for a week, which should give me enough time to figure out my next move. The place smells like industrial disinfectant and other people's disappointments, but it's got something my house doesn't have anymore: peace and quiet. I spend the first morning making lists. 23 years of marriage generates a lot of paperwork, and I need to understand exactly what I'm dealing with. Bank statements, credit card bills, mortgage documents, insurance policies. It's all spread across the motel room's tiny table like evidence at a crime scene. What I find makes my stomach turn. Tara's been siphoning money from our joint account for months. Small amounts at first, then bigger chunks as she got bolder. The money trail leads to some interesting places: payments to CrossFit Cleveland, cash withdrawals that coincide with Josh's gambling debts, and a series of charges to expensive hotels during times when she claimed to be showing houses. My phone rings. It's Peterson, my boss at the parts warehouse. Eli, I hate to do this, but I'm getting some concerning calls about you. What kind of calls? Your wife contacted me yesterday, said you've been having some personal problems, drinking, anger issues, that sort of thing. She seemed worried about your stability. The pieces click into place. Tara isn't just throwing me out, she's systematically destroying my reputation. By the time she's done, no one will believe anything I say. Pedersen, you've known me for 15 years. Have I ever given you reason to doubt my character? There's a long pause. No, Eli, you haven't. That's why I'm calling instead of just letting you go. But I need you to understand, if these problems are real, I have to protect my business. Give me a week to sort this out. Then judge for yourself whether I'm the same guy you've always known. After he hangs up, I sit on the motel bed and stare at the evidence scattered around me. Tara's not just cheating, she's waging a campaign. Josh isn't just lying about me. He's actively working to destroy my life. And Mitch isn't just sleeping with my wife, he's helping them do it. They think they're playing chess with someone who doesn't know the rules. Time to show them how wrong they are. I drive to CrossFit Cleveland just after closing time. The gym is in a converted warehouse, all exposed brick and industrial lighting. Mitch's red Jeep is parked in the back lot, alone under a broken streetlight. Perfect. I don't key the paint or slash the tires, that would be too obvious. Instead, I remove the valve caps from all 4 tires and let the air out slowly. Then I pour a bag of protein powder into the air intake. The engine won't be damaged, but it'll run rough enough to cost him some serious repair money. Finally, I leave a note under his windshield wiper. Ask Tara what she really thinks about your performance. As I'm walking back to my truck, I hear footsteps behind me. Mitch comes around the corner, probably returning from whatever protein shake bar he frequents. He's bigger than he looked in the photos, all shoulders and swagger. Hey, what are you doing to my car? I turn around slowly, making sure he gets a good look at my face. Just leaving you a message, Mitch, man to man. You're Eli. It's not a question. Tara told me about you, said you were pathetic. Funny, she used to say the same thing about her first husband, right up until she took half his money and moved on to me. That stops him for a second. Good. Plant the seed of doubt and let it grow. You need to stay away from us, he says, puffing up his chest like some kind of peacock. Tara doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. Tara wants a lot of things. Doesn't mean she should get them. I climb into my truck and drive away, leaving him standing next to his deflated Jeep. In my rearview mirror, I watch him discover the flat tires and start cursing. Phase 1. Complete. Back at the motel, I start making phone calls. 23 years in a small community means you accumulate a lot of contacts, and it's amazing what people will tell you when they think you're the victim. Mrs. Henderson, the nosy neighbor, is a goldmine of information. Apparently, Tara's been having visitors during the day for months. Always the same red Jeep, always parked around the corner, where I wouldn't see it when I came home from work. I wanted to tell you, Eli, but I wasn't sure how. You seemed so happy. Happy, right. I was happy because I was ignorant. There's a difference. My next call is to Dave Morrison, who works at First National Bank. We went to high school together, and he's always been straight with me. I can't give you specific account information, Eli, but I can tell you that if someone's been moving money around without your knowledge, you should probably get a lawyer involved. What about credit cards? New accounts opened without my signature. Now that's interesting, you should ask. I definitely recommend checking your credit report, like, immediately. I hang up with a growing sense of dread. How deep does this go? How long have they been planning this? My phone buzzes with another text from Carl at the gym. This one's a screenshot of a social media post from Josh, bragging to his friends about finally getting rid of his loser stepdad. The comments are full of people congratulating him, calling me names I won't repeat. But there's something else in the screenshot that catches my eye. One of the commenters is asking Josh how he pulled it off so perfectly. Josh's response is telling. Easy. Mom's business partner gave us the whole playbook. Said she'd been waiting years to get back at him. Business partner. Tara works with several people, but only one has history with me. Linda Chen, who I caught skimming client deposits 3 years ago. I reported her to the real estate board, and she nearly lost her license. She's been friendly to my face ever since, but apparently she's been playing a longer game. Suddenly, everything makes sense. This isn't just about an affair or Josh's resentment. This is revenge, orchestrated by someone with the patience and knowledge to make it hurt. I lean back on the motel bed and smile for the first time in days. They think they've been playing me, but they just showed me their hand, and mine is better than they know. And time to ante up. Murphy's bar is busier than usual for a Wednesday night, but that works in my favor. I need witnesses for what's about to happen. I've been planning this for 3 days, ever since I figured out Linda Chen's involvement in my domestic destruction. Mitch walks in at exactly 9:30, just like Carl said he would. Apparently, he's been holding court here every Wednesday, telling anyone who will listen about his conquest of the sad old married guy's wife. Tonight, he's brought backup. 2 other CrossFit trainers who look like they bench press small cars for fun. I'm sitting at the far end of the bar, nursing another Coke and pretending to read the sports page. Murphy catches my eye and nods slightly. We talked about this earlier, and he's ready to play his part. So there I am, Mitch is saying loudly enough for half the bar to hear, and this pathetic loser shows up at my gym, trying to act tough. Guy's probably never lifted anything heavier than a wrench in his life. His buddies laugh on cue. A few other patrons glance over, some looking amused, others uncomfortable with the public humiliation of a man who isn't there to defend himself. Except I am here. I fold my newspaper and turn around on my bar stool. Funny story, Mitch. I was just thinking about you. The laughter stops. Mitch's face goes through several expressions before settling on what he probably thinks is intimidating confidence. Well, if it isn't the maintenance man. Come to cry about your wife some more? Actually, I came to thank you. I stand up slowly, making sure everyone can hear me. See? I thought I had a marriage worth saving. Turns out I was just holding on to garbage. You did me a favor by taking it off my hands. That gets his attention. This isn't the broken, desperate husband he was expecting. Tara's not garbage, he says, but there's less conviction in his voice. No, you're right. Garbage has some value. You can recycle it, compost it, get some use out of it. Tara's more like, what do you call something that looks valuable but turns out to be worthless? One of his friends snickers, then tries to cover it with a cough. Mitch's face is getting red. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? Tell me, Mitch, how much money have you put into her business ventures? How much has she borrowed for her son's gambling debts? How much are you spending to keep her in the lifestyle she thinks she deserves? The questions hit their target. I can see it in his eyes, the first flicker of doubt. He's been bankrolling Tara's life, probably thinking it was an investment in their future together. That's none of your business. You're absolutely right. It's not my business anymore. Just like it won't be your business when she finds the next guy with deeper pockets. I reach into my jacket and pull out a manila envelope. Since we're sharing stories, let me tell you one. It's about a woman who's been married 3 times. Each husband started out thinking he was special, that he was different from the last guy. Each one ended up broke and alone, while she moved on to the next target. Mitch takes a step toward me, his fists clenched. You're lying. Am I? Ask her about Robert Martinez, her first husband. Ask her about the construction business she convinced him to put in her name. Ask her what happened to that business after she cleaned out the accounts and filed for divorce. I can see the crowd leaning in now, invested in the story. This is better than whatever game is on the television. Ask her about David Kim, husband number 2. Ask her about the restaurant they opened together and why it mysteriously failed right around the time she started seeing me. Mitch's friends are looking at each other now, uncertainty replacing their earlier swagger. One of them whispers something to the other. And now she's got you, I continue, opening the envelope and pulling out a stack of papers, putting money into her real estate business, paying for her son's mistakes, probably even helping with the mortgage on the house she's about to sell out from under both of us.
She texted you come back to bed at 3 a.m. Last Tuesday, you told me you were at your sister's.
Watch more on Grammarly.com.
She wouldn't, Mitch starts, but I cut him off. Wouldn't what? Wouldn't lie to you? Wouldn't use you? Wouldn't disappear the moment someone with more money shows interest? I laugh, but there's no humor in it. Friend, she's already got 3 potential buyers lined up for our house. Want to guess which one she's been having private meetings with? I slide a photograph across the bar. It shows Tara having dinner with Richard Hoffman, the richest developer in the county. They're holding hands across the table, and Tara's wearing the same dress she wore to our anniversary dinner last year. Mitch stares at the photo like it might change if he looks at it hard enough. Where did you get this? Same place I got the bank records showing she's been skimming money from your gym's account. Same place I got the credit report showing she opened 3 new credit cards in your name. Same place I got the lease agreement for the apartment she's been renting downtown. You know, the one she's been telling you is for her business meetings. The bar has gone completely quiet now. Even the bartender has stopped washing glasses to listen. You're making this up, Mitch says, but his voice has lost all its authority. Am I? Call her right now. Ask her where she is. Ask her who she's with. Ask her why she needs to work so late on a Wednesday night. Mitch pulls out his phone with shaking hands. I watch his face as he dials. Watch it crumble as the call goes straight to voicemail. He tries again. Same result. She's probably busy, he says weakly. Probably. I gather up my papers and put them back in the envelope. Well, this has been fun, but I should get going. Unlike some people, I have to work for a living. As I head for the door, one of Mitch's friends calls out, Hey man, if all that stuff is true, why are you telling him? Why not just let him find out on his own? I pause at the door and look back. Because I'm not like her. When I destroy someone, I want them to see it coming. Outside in the parking lot, I can hear raised voices through the bar's windows. Mitch is on the phone again, probably trying to reach Tara, probably starting to ask the questions that will unravel everything she's built with him. Phase 2, complete. The next morning brings the kind of autumn rain that makes everything look gray and defeated. I'm sitting in my truck outside Josh's community college, waiting for him to come out of his morning class. If he even went to class. According to my research, he's been skipping more often than attending. At 10:45, he emerges from the building with 2 friends, laughing about something on his phone. Probably another social media post about his brilliant manipulation of his stupid stepfather. The kid has no idea how much trouble he's in. I follow them at a distance to the campus coffee shop. Josh is holding court, telling his friends how easy it was to convince his mother I was stealing money and threatening him. How he made up stories about my drinking, my anger, my instability. How he played the victim so perfectly that she threw me out without even asking for my side of the story. The best part, he's saying as I get close enough to hear, is that she's so desperate to believe she's a good mother that she'll believe anything I tell her. I could probably convince her he was planning to burn down the house. His friends laugh, but I can tell they're a little uncomfortable with how proud he is of destroying someone's life. Good, they should be. I wait until Josh goes to the bathroom, then I approach his table. His friends recognize me immediately. I've been to enough family gatherings over the years. Hey guys, mind if I sit down? They exchange nervous glances but don't object. I pull out my phone and set it on the table. I want you to listen to something, I tell them, pressing play on a recording I made yesterday. It's Josh's voice, clear as day, bragging about his lies to a different group of friends, admitting that he made up the stories about me, laughing about how gullible his mother is. The recording plays for 2 minutes. When it ends, both of Josh's friends are staring at the phone like it might explode. "Where did you get that?" one of them asks. Josh isn't as careful as he thinks he is. He's been bragging about this to anyone who'll listen. Did you know he's been posting about it online too? Screenshots, videos, detailed descriptions of how he manipulated his mother into throwing out her husband. I show them my phone screen, scrolling through Josh's social media posts. There's enough evidence here to destroy his reputation permanently. And he put it all online himself. The thing is, I continue, I don't think Josh understands how serious this is. Identity theft, fraud, defamation, these aren't just family disputes. These are crimes. That's not entirely true, but they don't need to know that. The important thing is planting the seed of fear. Josh returns from the bathroom, and his face goes white when he sees me sitting with his friends. "What are you doing here?" "Having a conversation with your friends about consequences," I say calmly. "About how actions have reactions. About how lies eventually catch up to the people who tell them." "You can't prove anything." I hold up my phone. "Actually, I can prove everything. Your own words, Josh. Your own posts. Your own admissions of guilt, recorded and documented." He lunges for the phone, but I'm faster. 23 years of manual labor keeps you quick, even at 48. "Here's what's going to happen," I tell him, standing up. "You're going to call your mother and tell her the truth. All of it. The lies, the manipulation, the fake stories about me. You're going to admit that you made it all up because you were angry that I expected you to act like an adult." "I'm not doing anything for you." "Then I'm going to do something for you. I'm going to send copies of all this evidence to the college administration, to your professors, to your friends, to your grandmother, and to every employer in this city. I'm going to make sure that when people hear the name Josh Parker, they think of one thing: liar." His friends are backing away now, clearly wanting no part of whatever this is becoming. "You can't do that," Josh says, but his voice cracks. "I can do whatever I want, Josh. That's the thing about being an adult. You get to make choices, and you've made some very poor ones." I lean in close enough that only he can hear me. "You thought you were playing a game with someone who didn't understand the rules. But here's what you didn't know. I've been letting you win. Now the game is over, and it's my turn." I walk away, leaving him standing there with his mouth open. Behind me, I can hear one of his friends asking what he's going to do. Josh doesn't have an answer. And that afternoon, I'm back at Murphy's bar when my phone rings. It's Tara, and she's furious. "What did you say to Josh?" I told him the truth, something you might want to try sometime. He's hysterical. He says you threatened him. I explained consequences to him. If that felt like a threat, maybe he should examine his own behavior. There's a long pause. When she speaks again, her voice is different, less angry, more uncertain. "Eli, what's going on? Josh is saying things that don't make sense." "What kind of things?" "He says he lied about you. Says he made up stories to get you in trouble. But that's ridiculous. He wouldn't do that." I almost feel sorry for her. Almost. "Wouldn't he? When's the last time Josh told you the truth about anything, Tara? When's the last time he took responsibility for his mistakes instead of blaming someone else?" Another pause. Longer this time. "He's my son, Eli." "I know. And you've spent 20 years protecting him from the consequences of his actions. How's that working out for you? What do you want?" "I want the truth. All of it. From both of you. And if we don't, then you'll find out what happens when someone who actually understands consequences decides to teach them to people who don't." I hang up and order another Coke. Murphy slides it across the bar with a questioning look. "How's it going?" "They're starting to crack. Give it another day or two, and the whole thing will fall apart." "And then what?" I take a long drink and consider the question. "Then they'll understand what they really lost when they decided to play games with my life." Outside, the rain is getting heavier. Inside, I'm finally starting to feel warm. The high school auditorium is packed for the annual Community Excellence Awards ceremony. Tara's been nominated for Outstanding Business Leader based on her real estate success, and she's been planning this moment for months. She's wearing a new dress, her hair is perfect, and she has no idea that her world is about to collapse. I'm sitting in the back row, dressed in my only good suit, the one I wore to our wedding 23 years ago. It still fits, which says something about the benefits of physical labor over gym memberships. The ceremony is typical small-town pageantry. Local politicians making speeches, business owners accepting plaques, everyone pretending that our little corner of Ohio is somehow special. Tara is scheduled to speak just before the final award presentation. She takes the stage to polite applause, looking confident and successful. From where I sit, I can see Mitch in the third row, though he looks less enthusiastic than he probably did a week ago. Josh is notably absent. Apparently, he's been having some personal problems lately. Thank you so much for this honor, Tara begins, her voice carrying clearly through the auditorium's sound system. When I started Parker Real Estate 5 years ago, I never imagined it would grow into what it is today. Parker Real Estate, named after me, built with money I earned, developed while I worked 60-hour weeks to support her dream. And now she's accepting an award for it, while I sit in the back like a stranger. Success in real estate is about trust, she continues. It's about building relationships with clients who know you'll always act in their best interests. It's about integrity, honesty, and putting service above personal gain. The irony is so thick I could cut it with a wrench. But I let her finish her speech, let her accept her award, let her bask in the applause. She deserves this moment, because it's going to be her last one. As she's walking back to her seat, I stand up. Excuse me, I call out, loud enough for everyone to hear. I'd like to say something about integrity and honesty. The auditorium goes quiet. Tara freezes halfway down the aisle, her face suddenly pale. The ceremony organizer, a nervous woman with a clipboard, looks around frantically for guidance. Sir, this isn't really the appropriate time. Actually, I think it's the perfect time, I say, walking down the aisle toward the stage. See, I'm Eli Parker. That's my name on the business that just won this award, and I have some things to say about trust and integrity. Murmurs ripple through the crowd. People are pulling out their phones, sensing that something dramatic is about to happen. In the third row, Mitch is sinking lower in his seat. I reach the stage and turn to face the audience. 300 people, all looking at me with varying degrees of curiosity, confusion, and anticipation.
How many of you know what it's like to build something with someone you love?
To work extra hours, sacrifice your own dreams, put everything you have into supporting their success? A few hands go up tentatively. Most people just stare. I spent 5 years doing exactly that, working double shifts to fund my wife's real estate business, taking out loans against our house to cover her startup costs, believing that we were building something together. I pull out my phone and connect it to the auditorium's projection system. The ceremony organizer starts to protest, but I ignore her. But it turns out trust and integrity mean different things to different people. For instance, what would you call someone who steals money from joint accounts to fund their lover's failing business? The first image appears on the large screen behind me. Bank records showing transfers from our joint account to CrossFit Cleveland. Tara makes a strangled noise from somewhere in the audience. What would you call someone who manipulates their own son into lying about abuse and theft to get rid of an inconvenient husband? The next image. Screenshots of Josh's social media posts, bragging about his manipulation tactics. Several people gasp. What would you call someone who opens credit cards in other people's names, forges signatures on legal documents, and commits fraud while accepting awards for business integrity? More images. Credit applications with my forged signature, real estate documents with suspicious alterations, hotel receipts from Tara's business trips with Mitch. The auditorium is in chaos now. People are talking, shouting questions, demanding explanations. Tara is trying to push through the crowd toward the exit, but there are too many people in her way. The funny thing is, I continue, my voice somehow carrying over the noise, I probably would have just walked away, filed for divorce, split our assets, moved on with my life. But you couldn't leave it at that, could you, Tara? You had to destroy my reputation. You had to turn my friends against me. You had to make sure I lost everything. I advanced the presentation to the final slide, a recording of Tara and Linda Chen planning my destruction, obtained through a mutual friend who was disgusted by their scheming. So now everyone gets to see what you really are, not a successful businesswoman, not a loving mother, not a trustworthy partner, just a fraud who's very good at manipulating people who care about her. Tara finally breaks through the crowd and rushes toward the stage. Stop this! You're lying! You're making this all up. Am I? Which part is a lie, Tara? The bank records? The credit fraud? The recordings of you laughing about how pathetic I am? She reaches for my phone, but I'm ready for her. I step back, and she stumbles, nearly falling in her high heels. The crowd gasps again. You want to know the real truth? She screams, her composure finally cracking completely. You were pathetic. You were boring. You were nothing. I settled for you because I thought you were safe, and I've regretted it every day since. The auditorium goes completely silent. Even the people who were sympathetic to her are staring now, shocked by the venom in her voice. There it is, I say quietly, but the microphone picks up every word. 23 years of marriage, and that's what it meant to her. I was a safe bet, a meal ticket, a placeholder until something better came along. I disconnect my phone and put it back in my pocket. The evidence I've shown you tonight has been submitted to the appropriate authorities. The real estate board, the police, the IRS, they'll all be conducting their own investigations. But I wanted you to see it first, because this community trusted her. You gave her an award for integrity. I walk toward the exit, but pause at the door for one final comment. Oh, and Mitch, you might want to check your bank accounts and your credit report, and maybe ask yourself why she's been having so many evening meetings with Richard Hoffman lately. The last thing I see as I leave is Tara collapsed in a chair, surrounded by people with cameras and questions she can't answer. Josh has appeared from somewhere and is trying to comfort her, but even he looks shaken by what he's witnessed. Outside, the autumn air feels clean and sharp. I get in my truck and drive away from the chaos, away from the cameras, away from the life I thought I wanted. My phone is already ringing with calls from reporters, lawyers, and friends who want to know what happens next. But I don't answer. For the first time in months, I don't have to answer to anyone. They thought they were playing poker with someone who didn't know the game. Turns out I knew exactly what I was doing. I just had to wait for the right moment to show my hand. Noel Dabor, November 6, 2025, 11 hours, 56 minutes, and 41 seconds.